And normally what you would do is you'd have this on a burner and getting really hot. You add some pork, you add the vegetables, you stir fry it a little bit. We're not going to do that. We're going to cook it all in one pot. Again, this is not the traditional way of doing it. This is the ginger way. Hey everyone, welcome to my home and welcome to my channel, A Ginger Can. And today, a ginger can made Soondubu. It's made with tofu, Soon tofu, that's why it's Soondubu. Typically it's a stew like a jjigae, or sometimes I like to make it like a soup with a lot of water and it's a guk. And today I am blowing it all the way and I'm going to make it the most non-traditional way possible, because usually it's a very spicy dish and I don't want to make it that spicy. I want to give it to the boys. So I'm omitting a lot of ingredients. Don't worry, I'll make another video later on how to make this a more traditional way. But today we're going to make it for the non-spicy folks. I know there's a lot out there. Some of your older folks out there can't handle spices as well as you could. I understand. So let's get started with the recipe. You're going to need a couple of things. This is going to be a stew or a soup, so we need our traditional broth with kelp and the large sardines. We'll also need a radish, a Korean radish or a daikon radish will do. If you can't find this, if you don't have any Korean or Asian supermarkets available and you cannot find this, can use potatoes, but it's probably best just to skip it. You want about 1/4 cup of onion chopped. You can't have Soondubu without the Soon tofu. Garlic, some green onions, and you'll want the oldest kimchi you have. So if you get a big old jar like this, wait until it's down to the last bits of kimchi. It's taken you a month to eat this. We go through this in about a month or two. And you'll have the most sour, most ripened kimchi, and that's perfect for this recipe. And so it looks really spicy, and I mentioned I'm gonna tone down the spices, so I'm gonna rinse off a lot of the red pepper. A lot of the purists are gonna be upset. I understand, it's for the boys, and I don't want to clean up the mess. It's really that simple. So we got some prep work to do. I diced some onion. I'm going to use the garlic press for the garlic. You could chop it. I'm going to use the press, get it really fine. I'm going to chop up some radish, and I'm going to get this, the soup started. So let's get the camera flipped around and get this going. Like any Korean soup or stew or broth, we're going to add some kelp, and about 3 by 3 inch squares will do. I've got about 3.5 cups of water. All my measurements are precise. Starting to boil. I cheated and already had it in a kettle, so it's already hot. I just gotta get the pot up to heat. So we got some of the big anchovies, and I can show you those as opposed to the medium size that I was using, whichever side I opened. There we go. These are the honkin' fellas. So we don't need a whole lot, 4 or 5 will do. Get switched around a little bit. Alright, now this is for prep work. I took, probably about 1 cup of the radish, 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup of onion, and I have 3 garlic cloves. When this comes up to a boil, I'm going to put the radish in so it starts to boil and get soft and absorb some of the kelp and the fish taste, the sardine taste. But we're not going to watch a pot because a pot never boils when it's watched. So let's come back when it's boiling and I'll throw the radish in, and then we get to wait some more. So I'll see you in a few minutes. This is up to a boil, so I'm going to throw the radish in. The traditional way is to discard the radish completely, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use all of the radish in the Soondubu. This will come back up to a boil. I have more water starting to boil just in case, because you got to test the consistency, and as always you can add more. You can't, it's really hard to take out. So this will boil. We're going to let this boil for about 15 minutes, get the radish nice and soft, get the kelp and the sardine flavors out, and then we'll come back and we'll tackle the rest of the recipe. See you in a minute. This has been boiling for about 15 minutes now. It's reduced down a little bit. I'm going to take the sardines and kelp out without using my hand. And normally what you would do is you'd have this on a burner and getting really hot. You add some pork, you add the vegetables, you stir fry it a little bit. We're not going to do that. We're going to cook it all in one pot. Again, this is not the traditional way of doing it. This is the ginger way. I know I mentioned I was going to wash the kimchi, and this is what sad kimchi looks like. It's got a couple of red pepper flakes, but it looks almost like sauerkraut. So if you really don't like spices, you want it as old as possible because you want that bitter taste, that sourness. So sauerkraut might work if you're not into spicy. I'm going to throw that in. I'm going to throw in my onions, and I'm going to crush the garlic. I'm going to get this all boiled together and blended. I lost my knife. And for my wife, because she does like it spicy, I saved some kimchi juice, so I'll just dump that in her bowl. And you can see it's a little thick, it's a bit stew-like, so almost jjigae. Let's give it a couple minutes, we'll come back, add the tofu. See you then. This is good and boiling now. So we're gonna add the Soondubu. I'm probably used to tofu coming in a square pack from the grocery store. This is a little bit different. It's a very soft tofu, and it just absorbs a lot of the flavor. So we cut it into the package, split it open, and just squeeze it out. It breaks apart almost instantly. We're going to turn down the heat a little bit and mix it in. A couple of the things that I left out is some red pepper flakes in sesame oil. And they sit in the sesame oil until about this point where you dump it in. That way the oil absorbs a lot of the heat. I didn't do that, so I'm going to add sesame oil at the end. I'm going to throw in my green onions now though. That's about 2 stalks of green onions. We'll let this cook for about 5 minutes on low heat, and then I'll throw on the sesame oil and then we'll plate it. So I'll see you in a couple minutes. I just took it off the stove, it's steaming hot. I'm going to add some sesame oil on top, give it a little bit extra depth of flavor, about a tablespoon. And I don't like cooking the sesame oil. You add it at the end so it gets the flavor, and it has a very low smoke point, so it tends to cook and burn quickly. We'll get that mixed in, we'll let that steep for a minute. Serve it up with some rice on the side. It's good and thick. And I mentioned I saved some of the kimchi juice. We'll dump that in and dump it all in. And that's closer to what it should look like. A good deep scarlet red. The Soondubu is good and broken up. Take a scoop of rice, dip it in. That is just about perfect for traditional. Again, this is not the traditional way to do it. I just wanted to get a dinner done quickly for the boys. We had the Soondubu. Why not do Soondubu, but knock it down a couple of notches on the spice. So thank you for watching. This has been a Ginger Can. My name is Brian. Please like, share, subscribe, comment down below. If you can handle spicy, then comment down below that you're looking forward to the more traditional way to do this. If you're not into spicy, we can talk about sauerkraut options or just washing down some old kimchi. But you really want the kimchi to be old, you want that sour, you want that bitterness. Well, that's all I've got for you today. Take care.